Hello and welcome to the Beautiful Budget channel. My name is Rachel. I'm so happy that you're here. We love to talk all things budgeting and building wealth. No deprivation or dull spreadsheets necessary. Today's topic is a little spicy. I want to talk about debt freedom culture. Someone has to say it, and I guess I'm going to be that someone. This is potentially problematic. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of you are like, she woke up and chose violence. That's me in that picture. Hey, stay with me here. I love to see people celebrating money wins. To be 100% debt-free is a money win, and it always will be. But here's where I start to get a little spicy. Debt freedom culture, from the time that we are just budget babies, trying to figure out personal and family finances, navigating a lot, just trying to do the right thing. What debt freedom culture does is it perpetuates this message. If you have debt, you are somehow wrong, or if you're not accelerating your debt payoff, you are wrong, or maybe it's not as strong as like, hey, that person is wrong, but it's, hey, this is what we should be doing, because we celebrate pictures like this all the time. And if you start following finance creators on different platforms, you'll see these signs, you'll see people celebrating being 100% debt free. Hey, I paid off the mortgage in 10 years and all these things. And again, I say again, that is fantastic. And I am rooting for you. I'm clapping for you. I'll shout your congratulations from the rooftops. But I draw the line at the realization that other people over here are feeling small and lacking confidence on their money journey. And they're thinking that the steps that they're taking aren't the right ones, or that they can't possibly be successful if they don't stop, drop, and pay off that debt. All of it. Debt freedom culture has to realize that there are so many people out there who see all debt as bad because of this. And that's simply not true. Not all debt is bad. Not all debt is crippling you on your money journey. You can pay off debt and invest at the same time. In fact, sometimes it behooves us, if we're looking at the numbers and we're talking numbers, sometimes it behooves us to do both simultaneously. And that situation, that circumstance I'm describing is the one in which you can out-earn. So what your debt is costing you, you can out-earn it by investing in the stock market. Let's walk through what this looks like in a real life example, just a simple example. $35,000 auto loan, 2.99% interest rate, $635 minimum payment. This car is paid off, if it's just minimum payments only, in 60 months, 5 years. Let's say you're the car owner here and you have $1,000 a month extra to put towards financial goals. And you have been encouraged here by debt freedom culture, I need to pay off this auto loan as soon as possible. I need it gone. Because you're thinking like that's the only way. There is no other way. I'm not successful financially if I don't do that. So you put all $1,000 a month extra towards this auto loan. What does that do? This car is now paid off in 1 year and 11 months. That's fantastic. Took a 5-year loan and you turned it into 2 years. On the other hand, let's say you're more interested in multitasking and you're like, look, that auto loan, that interest rate is pretty low. 2.99%. I'm going to take this $1,000 a month and I'm going to invest it. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to buy some index funds. My money is invested. What does that do? After 5 years, assuming a 7% average annual return on your investments, you're sitting at $72,000 that you now have after 5 years. What does the person have at that 5-year mark who paid $1,000 a month extra for 2 years, got that car loan gone, and then from the 2-year mark to the 5-year mark, they were investing $1,635 a month because they said, well, my car loan is paid off. I no longer have that minimum payment. I'm going to lump it all together. So now I'm going to invest $1,635 from year 2 to year 5. What does that person have at year 5? And the answer there is about $66,000. So we're talking $72,000 when you invested from the get-go. We're talking $66,000 if you paid the car off early and then chose to invest what you had extra per month. Let's say now it's worth $10,000. They both have a car that's worth $10,000. They're both sitting there with the same $10,000 valued car, but one has $66,000 invested and one has $72,000. Now you may be thinking, well, that's $6,000. Like I'll take that $6,000 if it means that I get to be debt free for 3 years of that time and I feel incredible. Now we're going to get back to the feels momentarily. One thing you'll learn about me is I love talking about feelings, right? I'm a feeler. That is a huge part of who I am, how I lead, how I make certain decisions, right? The heart is there. And so I will absolutely bring feelings and sentiments into the conversation, even if we're talking about money, which really should stay as objective as possible, as often as possible, but sometimes that's just not going to be the case. But we'll circle back to the feels. This example I just gave you it's a 5-year time span example. All right. Compound interest really starts to take off when we're talking more like 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So mortgage examples actually illustrate this quite a bit stronger, but those are very hard examples to shape accurately because when you're talking about mortgages, that mortgage payment can have fluctuating homeowners insurance, property taxes within it. So that might not be a fixed thing the whole way through. You're talking about maintenance costs that you have on the home all the while that you earn it. You talk about valuation of the home. There's just a lot that goes into it. And so those numbers are a lot trickier. But I wanted to give you just a simple example of a situation in which fixating on that debt, that auto loan, and paying it off as soon as possible, going another route and paying off the debt on schedule, but investing the extra money that you have actually puts you in a slightly better predicament 5 years later. And this is what I didn't understand when I was just a budget baby. I didn't understand that. I entered into the personal finance world. I was, teaching myself about debt payoff, about saving, about investing. And what do you see when you search debt payoff and you're just kind of getting into that world for the first time? You see a lot of those pictures of people holding up the sign and it's like, we're debt free. We paid off $90,000 in 4 years. And those people look extremely happy. And they are and they should be. But what about the person who is still holding on to part of their debt, but is aggressively investing? That person should be praised too. That habit, that approach to budgeting and managing their money is brilliant as well. So let's circle back to the emotional side of this. I absolutely respect those who have such a strong sentiment towards 100% debt freedom that it overcomes the math. All right. You'll hear me say money it's math, but it's also emotion. And for many people, having that mortgage paid off, not owing anybody anything, never being tied to a lender, the feeling there is greater than the feeling of, okay, I'm kind of juggling multiple tasks. I'm still holding on to some debt, but I'm aggressively investing. Sometimes the emotion wins, and that's okay. But that is coming from someone who has an awareness, first of all, of themselves, the self-awareness of how do these things make me feel and how strong is that feeling. But they have an awareness of both sides, both options. A lot of times debt freedom culture has us only seeing one thing. We don't even know about this other route of paying off low interest debt and investing at the same time. And I have to emphasize, because I haven't yet in this video, it's low interest debt and investing simultaneously that can be the savvy approach. It is a whole different ballgame if we are talking about credit cards or high interest debt. If you have a credit card at a 20% interest rate and you're sitting here watching this video and you're like, okay, like I can have this credit card debt and I can invest, that's totally fine. Circle back to my initial point of this only works when we're out earning the rate on the debt. It's going to be really hard to out earn 20% on a consistent basis in the stock market. So credit cards, they have to go. They have to go as soon as possible, because to invest, and maybe you're earning 6-7% conservatively over here in the stock market, but the credit card is costing you 20%, you're hustling backwards. That's how I like to say it. You're hustling backwards. So I really have to highlight here that it's low interest debt. We're talking like 6% and under, where this starts to become, okay, maybe we can multitask here. That's where that conversation starts to come in and actually make sense when you're looking at the numbers. But like I said, a lot of us don't know about the other side of it. What is the alternative to standing there holding that board and saying you're 100% debt free? What is another approach I could take and I could still be really successful? I want to switch gears to how the really wealthy perceive debt. Before I get there though, if you've been enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit like, hit that subscribe button. It really helps to support my channel, and we'll get to sit down and continue to have conversations just like this one. Tap that bell so that you get notified when I drop new videos. So when we're talking about the rich, when we're talking about really wealthy people, it's almost like the word debt isn't applied to them. It's the same thing, but instead it's called leverage. When we're talking about really wealthy people, it's not debt, it's leverage. Why would Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck go and get a mortgage on a $50 million home? Why in the world would they do that? Because they understand that if they're paying on that mortgage, they've freed up dollars over here to invest, and that money is going to work harder for them. If they just fork up the $50 million right there, they've lost out on dollars that they could be putting into investments to work harder for them. So instead, it's, no, I'm going to use your money, and all the while I'm over here making my money multiply. Leverage. We don't talk enough about how debt can really it can make us feel ashamed. Like somehow we're doing something wrong because we have these liabilities, because we're still paying off an auto loan, because we're still paying off student loans. I'm here to tell you, it's going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine. You can still build wealth and have debt. In fact, many really, really wealthy people have debt. It's just not called that, as I said before. And those of us kind of, closer to the ground who don't make millions of dollars, we're down here feeling like, oh my gosh, like I am the worst. I just can't seem to figure this out. I can't seem to get this debt off of me, right? Like I'm able to make the minimum payments on this auto loan or the student loan or this, low interest personal loan. I can make the minimums and I got this extra money, but gosh, I feel like if I don't just throw it all at this debt, I must be doing something wrong. Debt freedom culture has to be cognizant that these people exist and feel ashamed. Acknowledge the fact that many don't see option number 2. And you can still be successful, even if you are not full speed ahead at one thing, which is debt, right? Sure, if you pay that debt off really fast and now you free up a lot of dollars to invest, that's fantastic. That is a great plan. But let's also shout congratulations from the rooftops to those who are, paying off their debt on schedule. They're not letting, the fact that they have these debts overcome them, because they know, hey, but over here, I got this money working for me. Over here, I have my soldiers going out into the total stock market index fund and bringing me back more soldiers. Disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor and I cannot tell you exactly what to invest in. I personally love the total stock market index fund, but by no means should you construe that as financial advice. But this person is over here like, no, like I'm putting in work over here. This is good stuff over here. If nobody's going to praise you, I will be the person to praise you and say you're doing fantastic. It's going to be okay. It's going to be better than okay. It's going to be great because you're building wealth. All right. I feel better. I do feel better. And I hope that we can have fruitful, positive conversations about this. Let me know your perspective in the comments. If your perspective has changed after watching this video, kind of where you stand on debt payoff culture. I'd love to know. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you for tuning in to today's video, and I will see you next time.